Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Brooklyn, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my experience as a first year teacher and kind of the pros and cons and what I really thought about teaching. So don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel to stay updated on all the content that will be coming soon. So let's get into it. So first off, I want to say they had a teacher leave mid-year at the school that I started at. So I actually started in February, which is a very weird time to start teaching. So I taught from February of 2022 until May of 2022 at a small school in a small town in Tennessee. And again, like I said, I did come in mid-year and I only had a few months of experience that I can talk to you about. So my experience is probably gonna be a lot different than yours is if you're going in as a first year teacher. You know, at the very beginning of the year, your experience might be different if you're coming in mid-year in the fall, or if you are starting during summer school or anything like that, or if you're choosing to do online. So this is just my personal experience, my personal tips and tricks and kind of what I thought about teaching. So like, take my opinion with a grain of salt, like they say. Is that a grain of sand, a grain of salt, whatever that expression is? This is just my opinion. Don't let this influence what you think at all. I just want to kind of give you my opinion. So I'm just going to kind of do like a pros and cons kind of deal. So there were a lot of pros and there were a lot of cons. And I honestly think they balanced themselves out at this school, but I just want to put that out there that I don't know if I have the exact same number of pros and cons, but it honestly balanced out and I loved my teaching experience. So we're gonna start with the pros. My first pro is that I got to see students grow. Now, I was really scared coming in mid-year that these students were already going to be established in their work. I wasn't going to see any growth, that they weren't going to be able to learn from me because I had never taught before. I had never even student taught. I had never even substituted. So I was like, they're not going to learn anything from me. I'm going to hold these kids back. They're not going to grow. That did not happen whatsoever. I saw such great growth in all of my students. And yes, it might not have been on the standardized test. On the standardized test, they might not have grown. They may have gone down. But you know what? I had those 2 or 3 that they skyrocketed and went up. And that felt so good. I remember one of like the most proud moments I felt was whenever I was trying to get my kids to learn their multiplication tables. And I was like, oh, they're just not getting it. They're not getting it. And one day they all came in and I had like 5 or 6 of them come up to me and recite their multiplication tables to me. And like just getting to see that growth and see like things and ideas and all that kind of stuff, and the process kind of finally click in their brain is so rewarding. And honestly, that one pro alone outweighs any of the cons in my personal opinion. My second pro is all the artwork from the students. I don't have any pictures of what I got, or I might, if I do, I will insert it over here or try to. If not, just imagine. I remember like I got so many just like pieces of art from my students and it was so sweet. It was really funny. They usually gave me art after they got in trouble. Like it was like their peace offering, like we're sorry. But I remember I had one little girl, she gave me something almost every day. And I had a whole wall full of it, and I actually have all of them at my house in a bag, and I'm gonna make a binder with like clear sheet protectors and put all the artwork in there and like save it from year to year after I teach, just so I can keep those memories. But it just makes you feel loved and wanted. The third pro, I'd say is specifically for like the age that we're living in. This probably was not a pro a couple years ago, but post-COVID, there are so many in-service hours available online or through Zoom parties. I was able to do like 30 hours of in-service in like 3 months, which I actually was not required to do any for Tennessee because I came in after January 31st. So I was not required to do any in-service for that academic year, but I was able to get 30 in because I had so many opportunities for online in-service. So it's not like, I know everyone's always like, oh, I have to go to in-service today. Oh, I have to go to this meeting so I can get my in-service hours. It wasn't like that for me. I was just like, oh, I have an hour Zoom real quick. Let me log on. Cool, done. Oh, I want to do this program so I can get, like one program I remember was like 20 in-service hours. It was just like a really quick like program over literature, and I didn't even teach literature. I taught third grade math and science, but I was still able to use that, and it was just like an online course essentially, and I did it in like an hour and a half and took like a little test at the end and finished it and got 20 in-service hours. So that was a really big pro of working and teaching in this time period, is that there's a lot of stuff available online for you to access. So my next, I think my fourth maybe, pro is along the same lines as the last one, is the amount of online accessibility that is available today for teachers. Teachers pay teachers. If you don't know what that is, it's amazing. It saved my life. If I didn't know what to do for morning work, I would literally just type in third grade morning work, and I would hit the free button because I need free things, because I did not a lot of times have my first paycheck yet whenever I was trying to get everything together. So they have so many free resources. They have payable resources as well. My co-teacher and I, the other teacher that taught math and science for third grade, we did a lot of room transformations. So she actually had a few that she had bought the years prior, and then she had a couple that she bought this year, but like we did a candy shop room transformation where we made the room look like a candy shop, and we like had a bunch of like different candy stations, and they had to make graphs out of the candies. Then we had a multiplication boot camp where they had like their little like, you know, dog tags and like hats, and like we like did they marched in place and like recited their multiplication facts, and we had like a bunch of like multiplication drills, and like, you know, they like did jumping jacks and then like push-ups. It was just so much fun, and we found that on Teachers Pay Teachers. So definitely look into Teachers Pay Teachers and other online resources as well, because they can really make your job really easy, honestly. I know a few states, Tennessee was one that was trying to not allow teachers to use sites like Teachers Pay Teachers or anything other than their curriculum, but the curriculum can only take you so far, because that curriculum is not going to be able to let you customize it for your students. You know what makes your students get engaged. You know your students better than someone sitting on a board somewhere. So I really, really love that we were able to have access to those resources. Also, I have a Teachers Pay Teachers account. I have a few little random items on there that I used in my classroom last year. I'm going to be adding a few more of those throughout the year. So I have that linked down below in the description. So if you want to go look at that, feel free. The next pro that I found in my teaching experience was the amount of help that you could get from your community to fund your classroom. As you all know, you only have a certain amount of money set aside for your classroom fund, and it doesn't really do a lot. You can't really decorate like crazy or like have fun parties or anything with that little amount of money they give you, which, I mean, they give us money, which I'm so thankful for. We can get the bare minimum, like the necessities, which is great. But you know, sometimes you just want to go that extra mile for your students. And I found that like Amazon and Facebook and like different community organizations will let you make a list under your classroom name, and people can donate and send items to your school for your classroom. And that's really cool. I personally did not do that because I came in mid-year, but most every single teacher in my school did that and could tell me, yes, this is something that someone donated to me. This is something that someone sent me off my Amazon wish list and stuff like that. So definitely look into that. And I think that's something I will definitely use whenever I go to my next classroom. The final pro that I have is parent support. You might be like, well, I've heard so many videos and watched so many videos and podcasts about all of these parents who just, you know, tear apart the teacher and don't respect them and don't think that they are right and think that their child could do no wrong. Yes, that happens. I had that happen to me. But in that exact same situation, it involved multiple students, and I had one parent tell me, my daughter said she did not do that, so I'm signing the paper and sending it back, but she didn't do it, so she's not going to get in trouble at home. And I was like, okay, she already got silent lunch at school, so like whatever. Then I had another mom text me personally and be like, I am so sorry that she did this. This is not how I raised her. Just know she will be disciplined at home and will be writing an apology letter to every single student that was involved in this situation. Like, I remember that was my first time having to send home notes to parents. And I was terrified of the response I was gonna get. And I got her response first. So I'm all like, yeah, yes, like, thank you for supporting me and, you know, showing, you know, a united front so that I can better have your child's respect, so in the classroom they know that the rules do apply to them. The other parent that messaged me and was like, I kind of just was like, you know what, I don't want to deal with that. You know what, I'm not gonna let the negativity. I handled it in my classroom. If she doesn't want to do anything at home, that's up to her. But like, having those parents that are going to be supportive, it honestly makes you feel so secure and like you're doing the right thing. So I'm going to go into some pros. Sorry, I just did my pros. I'm going to go into some cons now. Now these are nothing like huge, and these opinions might not be your opinions. You might think, oh, that's totally not a con, or oh, that totally doesn't happen. Okay, cool, that's great with you. These are just my experience and my opinions, so I just want to put that out there. All right, let's go. My first con about teaching, especially in 2022, is the kids' social skills appear to be like stunted, if you want to, I don't want to say stunted, but like a little bit behind what I expected them to be. And I talked to multiple teachers about this, and multiple of the first grade teachers that I talked to said that their kids, you know, were coming in and they had never had a normal school year. They had never had a school year that wasn't affected by COVID, and their social skills that they were trying to teach them, they were having to start way farther back than they ever had to, because they never had that social interaction face to face with other students until that year. So I guess that would be my one of my cons would be like just knowing like the social maturity of the students was a little rough. And some people attribute that to COVID, others just say that's just the region you're in. That's definitely a con, especially if you go in thinking, oh, I'm gonna have a bunch of third graders, so they're gonna be like this. And when in reality, some of them had the social skills of a kindergartner or first grader. Another con, this one I'm sure you all heard about, is the teacher shortage, and specifically the sub shortage. I was so thankful both times that I needed a sub. Within those 3 months that I was working, I was able to get a sub to come into my room. However, there were multiple times throughout those 3 months that I was there that other teachers were not able to find a sub, or they had an emergency and couldn't get there the day of, and they couldn't find a sub the day of. And you might think, oh, well, you know what? They just like have someone else in the school do it. Sometimes they would have an assistant go in and stay for a little while, but they are not able to fully sub for a full day, at least not at my school. So what they would have to do is they would have to divide the students in that class up into a bunch of other classes. So I had about like 17 or 18 kids per class. I had 2 classes, like my first block and my second block. So I would have those 15, 18, however many. And then sometimes I would have an extra 4 or 10 kids if we could not find subs for that day. I remember one day I had like 3 or 4 fifth graders in my third grade room. And then another time I had like 7 or 8 extra third graders in my room. So that can just be really stressful in the moment, I guess you could say. And I really hope that's something that you don't have to experience a sub shortage in your area. But I know most across America, at least, there is a severe sub and teacher shortage. So definitely have that in mind before you go in, that you might not have just your kids for that day. You might have more kids, or you might not be able to get a day off because they can't find a sub, or you may become a burden for someone else because they're having to watch all your kids because you couldn't find a sub. So that's definitely a little bit of a con. So my final con isn't really even a con because my school was so good about it. They were so good about it. But I've heard a lot this from a lot of other teachers, so I wanted to address it, and that is discipline. Nowadays, it's really hard to make sure you're disciplining in a way that is respectful to the student, respectful to the student's parents, follows all of the guidelines that you're supposed to have set. And my school was really good about, like, they had like a system, you know, this happens, you take care of it by doing this. They walk laps, they during recess, they get silent lunch, stuff like that. And at this point, they, you know, get a verbal warning. At this point, they get a note sent home. At this point, they get sent up to the principal's office. But it's just, it's hard when I remember sometimes I was scared. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to discipline them for this. I hope this is the right way, or else I'm gonna get severely in trouble. Like, I hope this is the situation where they get disciplined by getting silent lunch. I hope this is the situation where they get disciplined by going to the principal's office, because if I do it the wrong one, I'm gonna get in like a lot of trouble, because this is like a really big issue. So make sure that you read up on your school's discipline clause and really know that front to back, and then also talk to your co-teachers, your principal, your school counselor, school vice principal, because they're usually the one who handles more of the behavior stuff, as well, like, just so that you are informed of the disciplinary measures that you are allowed to take in your classroom. Because if you're not 100% sure, like I was for a little bit, it can be kind of scary being like, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? As well as you don't want to obviously go too hard on them, because that can, lead to a lot of issues, but also being too light on them will cause them to walk over you and think that, oh, I can just do whatever I want. So it's a really fine line, and that's something that really stressed me out, and that whenever I go to my next school, I'm going to have an in-depth conversation, hopefully with my principal or with my co-teachers, to know exactly what that school likes for us to do in every single situation. So that is essentially my experience, my review, my true opinion on teaching. There are pros and there are cons, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like I said, I'm at a Bible college right now, finishing out my foreign missions degree, and I miss teaching so bad. Like, I cannot wait until I can be in a classroom again. And you might be like, well, why don't you just start teaching again? Because I'll never be 21 again and have the freedom to be able to go back to a Bible college that's not going to offer me anything career-wise. Like, I couldn't do that whenever I'm married or have kids, or just like have a house or a dog or something. Like, I can't do that at the point that I'm at, in those points in my life, and I can do it now. So, and I know in the future I will look back and be like, oh, I didn't finish, and I will regret it. So I decided to do it now and just suffer a little heartache until I'm able to be back in the classroom. Well, that's it. So I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on all the content that will be coming soon. See you later.